Last November, I spent 2 weeks road tripping around Germany. As I journeyed from one city to the next, it was really cool to see the distinctive character of each city embodied through its architecture, landmarks, and culture.
Hi, good morning from Munich, Germany. I'm Alvin and welcome to a One More Week to Go trip report. Today I'll be flying on Swiss from Munich to Amsterdam via a short transfer in Zurich. I'll be flying Swiss for the very first time on the A220 as well as the A330 aircraft in business class.
After dropping off our rental car at Munich Airport, we headed to Terminal 2 where our flight would be departing from today. I was really impressed by this huge billboard with the Lufthansa A350 on it. Normally during this time, the annual Munich Airport Christmas market would be held here at the MAC Forum, but unfortunately it was cancelled due to a spike in COVID. There was a bit of a queue for check-in even in the business class line. Our first flight for today, LX1101 to Zurich, is listed on the board with a planned departure time of 10:30 AM. During this trip, we picked up a new Rimowa to join the family, a Rimowa original large check-in twist with the brown handles. After passing through security, we opted to skip the lounge to avoid the crowds, and instead took a stroll through the terminal and watched the airplane movements on the apron. Soon enough, it was time to board. But with no plane attached to the jet bridge at our gate, it only meant one thing: remote bus boarding. Here is our aircraft, a Swiss A220-300. I personally love remote bus boarding as you get more time to admire the aircraft before stepping on board. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. The business class featured in this aircraft is simply intra-European business, aka economy seats with the adjacent seat blocked off. Fortunately, it is a pretty short flight to Zurich. My seat for the flight was 4F, a window seat on the right side. If you were traveling solo, it would be better to pick a seat on the left side of this A220 as there are only 2 seats there, so in business class you would get the entire row to yourself. In the literature pocket, you'll find the Swiss A220 safety card, and a Swiss snack menu. The tray table unlatches and folds out. There are 2 small mesh pockets for personal items. The seat pitch is pretty decent with ample legroom. For reference, I am 5'7". There are individually adjustable air nozzles above. The engine view is also pretty decent from 4F.
Cabin crew boarding is now completed.
Pretty soon we were pushing back with the plane only about half full.
Your hand luggage must be placed in the and other passengers. In case of impact on land or water, position yourself as shown on the screen. You may use either position. In case of an evacuation, follow the illuminated escape path markings and leave all your hand luggage behind. The emergency exits are identified by exit signs and are located as shown on the screen and the safety on board card. Do not inflate your life jacket until you leave the aircraft.
Ulteriori informazioni, vi preghiamo di contattare il personale di cabina. Gli ordini impartiti dal
Cabin crew, prepare for departure.
What I found interesting about this departure was that we entered the runway via a rapid exit taxiway and started the takeoff roll about a quarter down the runway. I guess this was possible as it was a short flight and the load factor was pretty light. Soon after reaching cruising altitude, a light meal was served. There was no menu provided, but it was a very refreshing mix of smoked salmon, cucumber, olives, and bread. For dessert, there was some kind of pudding with cream. And for my beverage, I went for the orange juice. Of course, it won't be a Swiss flight without some Swiss chocolates. On our approach into Zurich, I was surprised to see the Swiss countryside covered in a light dusting of snow. It looked quite beautiful from above.
Terminalgebäuden Pflicht ist, bitte achten Sie während des Aussteigens stets 2 Armlängen Abstand zu jeder anderen Person. So, welcome to Zurich Airport. We ask you to keep your seatbelt fastened until the respective cabin sign has been turned off. Please open the baggage racks carefully as objects could fall out. We now say goodbye to you and hope you have enjoyed your time with us.
For our arrival into Zurich, we again had a remote gate, so we deplaned via stairs and were bused to the terminal.
Welcome to Zurich Airport. This bus takes you to the transfer area, the baggage claim, the arrival duty-free and the exit.
We only had a short transfer time at Zurich, so we went immediately to our next gate, where a Swiss A330 was already waiting. The gate area was already busy with passengers waiting for the boarding announcement. Very soon, boarding began. The business cabin on the Swiss A330 comes in a pretty interesting seat config, with 1-2-1 for the even-numbered rows and 2-2-1 for the odd-numbered rows. In my opinion, the best single seats in the cabin are the even-numbered seats on the left side of the plane, such as 6A, the seat I'm in today. This particular seat is also known as a throne seat because of the way it looks, with 2 large side tables on either side. The cabin and finishings felt a bit on the older side, giving it a bit of a retro look, but I did like the wood paneling. The screen itself looked pretty small given how much unused space there was in front. In the literature pocket, you'll find a safety card, a seat guide, and a coat hook. We'll check out the IFE later, but beneath the screen is a large storage pocket for any personal belongings. Within the storage pocket, you'll also find a USB port. I'm not quite sure what the other port is for, some kind of display input? The legroom was amazing. It was both wide enough and deep enough to accommodate even the tallest passengers. Not much going on the right side table, but on the left side there is an adjustable reading light with different brightness settings, as well as a universal power outlet and a headphone jack. The tray table pops out at the push of this button and swings out like so. You'll find the seat controls at the front of the left armrest, with a pretty functional layout. Before departure, a visit to the lavatories. Spacious and clean, but no amenities were provided. I'm not sure if this was because I went before the flight took off. You get a nice view of the engines from seat 6A as well. The Swiss safety video is definitely pretty old school and could use some updating.
fernzuschnallen, wechseln Sie Ihren Sitzplatz angenommen haben oder das entsprechende Lautzeichen eingeschaltet ist. Zuerst ist die Gepäckablage vorsichtig, da Gegenstände rausfallen könnten. Swiss unterstützt die weltweiten Bemühungen, die Verbreitung des Coronavirus wo immer möglich zu unterbinden. Zum Essen und Trinken oder zur Einnahme von Medikamenten können
The selection of movies on the IFE seemed decent, but the UI felt dated, and with the screen quality not being great, I wasn't very motivated to watch anything. Just like the last flight, it was a short flight from Zurich to Amsterdam, so only a light meal is served. You get some cheese, smoked salmon, potato salad, bread, and pudding. I paired that with a coffee and of course another round of Swiss chocolates. The weather on arrival into Amsterdam was similar to what we had just left in Zurich, stormy and wet, with lots of cloud cover. So what are my thoughts on Swiss? Given my limited time spent on board, I will say that I enjoyed the food and the service from the crew, and the experience of sitting on a throne seat in the A330 was pretty unique and I valued that spaciousness. However, the hard product as a whole on the A330 seemed a bit outdated and felt like it needed a refresh. Overall, a short but pleasant experience flying Swiss. I would love to try them out on a longer route so I could experience their full meal service and other amenities on board. To end off the video, here's the inside of the Hilton Amsterdam Schiphol Hotel where we stayed for a few days while doing some plane spotting around the airport. Love staying at this hotel and can highly recommend it. Until next time though, thanks for watching, happy travels, and I'll see you in the next one.